me, everyone. This is Neve with the Rainbow Cauldron, and this is your weekly general reading for February 25th through March 3rd, 2018. Okay, so I will pull one card from this oracle deck that we are using this month, which is the Fairies Oracle by Brian Frode, and we'll probably be using the book for this, as I have been for the last couple weeks for this deck, because I'm unfamiliar with many cards from this deck, so we'll be using the book. and that will represent the general theme of the week, something to think about. And then I will pull 3 cards from the Shadowscapes tarot deck, and that will represent the general flow of energy throughout the week. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first card is Gawacha, and number 64. Okay, so before we get the book, let's see if we can try to sort of figure out what this card is about. So obviously there's some sort of secret or something hidden. This fairy seems to know all about it, and it almost sort of makes me think of that game that parents play with their kids, where they cover their face and they peek through a little bit and then go boo, and so it's almost like it's a shock, some sort of and obviously there's a lot of blue, which could mean various things. Blue can be a calming color, and it could also be a color of sadness. So there's a lot of ambiguity there. And I notice a lot with this, there's some just really crazy out there hair. Lots of color in that hair, if you look very closely. Yes, it's mostly blue, but there's quite a bit of red back there as well. So I get a wildness, but a secretiveness, and also kind of a surprise, and maybe a good surprise, maybe a bad surprise. Let's see what the book says. I opened right to the page. All right, so 64, Gawacha. Sudden shock, unexpected events, rude awakenings. All right. I definitely get that from this card. I mean, like I was saying, it's kind of like a parent covering their eyes and going boo to their child. It's like almost sort of makes me think of the Tower card in typical tarot decks. So Gawacha is the out of the blue fairy, and there's that blue, out of the blue. He likes to surprise us. You're walking along, minding your own business, or not minding your own business at all, and the universe smacks you on your blind side with something that makes an awful splat. Unexpected demands from the tax man. The bank's hole-in-the-wall machine eats your bank card late at night while the burly and irritable taxi driver is waiting. Your children find a way to dye themselves green just before your in-laws arrive. A meteor hits your car. Gawacha is, of course, capable of happy surprises as well as shocking or miserable ones. Perhaps your lottery ticket wins. There is a school of thought that says this is just karma. We deserve it for our sins we have totally forgotten in other lifetimes. Not so. Karma is about lessons we need to learn, not about punishment. And meaningless events don't teach us much. So this may be karma, but it isn't that kind of karma. There is another school of thought that says all of these things are our choices. We chose to be there when this was happening. We chose to step in front of the invisible cosmic bus. There is some truth to this. On one level of being high in the superconscious, sorry. As Gawacha says, I know more than I see, but most of us don't function at that exalted, intuitive level of consciousness much of the time. However, many of us do get hints, little flashes of intuition, and sometimes even big flashes of intuition. We often say, I knew I shouldn't have gone that way, or trusted that person, or invested that shock. There are two things Gawacha is trying to teach us. He says he doesn't enjoy doing it, but do I believe him? Actually, I do mostly. First, we need to learn to listen to and trust our intuition. We need to be awake and aware. It is just part of what we need to learn in order to fulfill our potential, to have happy and satisfying lives. Without it, we are sleepwalking in the world, missing all of the wonders and joys while not missing many of the bumps and pitfalls. Second, when there are lessons we need to learn, or when there are experiences that are properly other people's, but that have impact on us, we need to learn to roll with the punches, to take what comes at us, learn what we can from it, and regain our balance as quickly as possible. Things happen. We can't always control them. We can't always get out of their way. We don't always even have a choice about them. For example, to live with a beloved animal friend probably means that you are going to lose that creature at some point, because most pets have shorter lifetimes than humans do. Other things happen as well. People occasionally win huge sums in lotteries, and this too, we need to be able to take in our stride and not be completely lost in it. Gawacha knows we like to build sturdy, rigid structures in our minds and lives, but he also knows that these often are not good for us. Sometimes we even complain about them, muttering about life being dull and boring, yet we cling to them tenaciously. Such inner and outer rigidities usually encourage stagnation, and the Unity card, card 1, insists on growth. So to help us along, Gawacha kindly delivers these sudden surprises. Yet how often do we remember to say thank you? It's hard, Gawacha says. Doing such a difficult job, it's enough to drive a fairy to drink. From the look of the bloodshot eye, he has already been into some of the more potent otherworld nectar. Okay. All right, so that was a lot, and I normally don't read that much from the book when I do go to the book, but I was quite interested in that story, that aspect. Obviously there's a lot of big shock and surprises with this card, a big boo. So be ready for that shock, but also understand that you can't be ready, be awake and aware. And like I said, it very much makes me think of the tower. It's just this crumbling fall, and that it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be. You could be going through something really tough, really difficult, but it's all part of life. We can't have the good things in life without these surprises, these bad things that happen, and it's kind of how we react to those situations that really help us grow and move on. All right, so it's also, with the whole building structures thing and that tower falling, instead of picking up those pieces and putting that same tower back together, I feel like this card is more about building a whole new, completely different structure and understanding that too can fall. All right, let's move on to the tarot cards. Okay, so the first card is the Nine of Wands. Okay, and then we have the Ten of Wands. Okay, and finally we have the Moon, and here's where we're seeing that sort of a noble mystery, that thing that happened. All right. So with the Nine of Wands, we have a card that really stands for standing your ground, standing up for what you believe in, being very vigilant, very strong and powerful, and standing up to whether it's adversity, whether it's standing your ground, making, being untouchable, not moving from your position, just being very sure of your position. And that is what we're seeing here, a sort of stand your ground sort of thing. And one thing with these two cards is a lot of it is believing in your own, trusting your intuition. And here's someone who very much trusts their intuition. They know they're not wrong. They are standing up for what they believe in, and there they are. However, what that what that also sort of melds into, and we go 9, 10, here we are, is a taking on too much. Being burdened with a lot of responsibility, overwhelming responsibility, being under pressure. So we are standing our ground, but we're under a lot of pressure, and if we're not careful, we can crumble. Being very mindful of the fact that we are taking on a lot. This is a big responsibility we're dealing with now. And then, of course, with the moon here, we're getting that chasing dreams and fantasies, facing our deepest fears and anxieties, and understanding that some things are just unknowable. And maybe that is a lesson to tell us to loosen up our stance a little bit, and to let go of some things that are being put on us too much, and basically rolling with the punches, and understanding that we're not going to be able to know everything. And that is what the moon represents here, is a sort of unknowable mystery, chasing dreams and fantasies. Sometimes we have to wake up from that, and that was one of those words here. It's just being awake and aware, waking up from that dream, and facing those realities. All right, so I think that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a good week, and I will see you next week. Blessed be, everyone. Bye.